I describe what we do as security practitioners as, having to walk into a room, punch somebody in the face, and then have them hug you afterwards.
What a classic story. BDR to CISO?
If you actually really think about a successful and effective leader, it's about influence.
Yeah.
It's the old adage of you have to bring a sword to the sword fight.
Yeah.
You have an asset that you're trying to protect.
Yeah.
And there are certain ways that that asset can be compromised. It's like, okay, I've got to protect some crown jewels inside my house. How am I going to protect them? The key to good sleep as a CISO is hiring a good team. It's all about the people, and it's all about hiring a good team and having good relationships.
Mark, thank you so much. We're so excited to talk to you today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I think, probably no introductions are necessary, but we should probably do one anyways. So I would love for you to tell all of the listeners and watchers, who are you, what do you do, and what brings you here?
So I am the CISO for Bain Capital. So Bain Capital is a asset management firm, probably best well known for private equity. I have been there for 10 years.
I saw that.
Decade of Bain in Boston.
Amazing.
Which is fantastic. It has grown significantly since I joined. I joined, it was less than 1,000 people. It's 2,500 people now. Assets under management growing.
Incredible.
It's a fantastic place.
But you didn't start here in Boston, obviously, by the accent.
No, I did not start in Boston. So I'm originally from England.
Okay.
I grew up in England in a place called Chester, which is near Manchester, Liverpool.
Okay.
Up
So
in the northwest.
Are you a Manchester United
I am
fan?
not.
Did I get that right?
No, I'm a Liverpool fan.
Oh, okay.
So
big rivals?
They are.
Okay.
They are. Well, not the biggest rivals. The biggest rival for Liverpool is Everton.
Okay.
Crosstown rivals.
Okay.
But
so I should not root for Everton if I want to get on your good side.
Definitely not.
Okay.
You can root for Man United. They're terrible right now. It's fine. But yeah, Liverpool fan.
Awesome. And then when did you come over to the States?
I came to America for the first time in 2000.
Wow.
I came over for 6 weeks to coach soccer.
Oh, cool. So you are into soccer.
So I came over to coach soccer when I was at university. Someone came because I played soccer and rugby at university in England.
Oh, cool.
Someone came to a training session and said, "Hey, who wants to go to America and coach?" And they pay for your flight over, and they pay for your accommodation, and they'll pay you to do it. I'm like,
you're like, no brainer.
No brainer.
I'm there.
I'm ready. So did that. Went through the interview and spent what was the best 6 weeks of my life over here.
Where were you coaching?
So I was coaching all throughout New England.
Oh,
so
cool.
what you would do is you would spend a week in a different town, and families would host you. So
this is amazing.
You'd go from town to town, staying with a family. You'd get there on a Sunday. You do the camp Monday through Friday, and then Saturday stay with the family. They'd take you and do something cool, and then Sunday you move to a new family.
That's
so
amazing.
It was amazing. So my second week in America, I was over on Nantucket.
I haven't even been to Nantucket
yet. It was just phenomenal. So I'm like, I'm 19 years old and I'm thinking,
sold.
Wow, okay, this is great. So finished up that initial 6 weeks, and then I was like, okay, I graduated. I'm like, what am I going to do now? I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll go back to America. So I went back for another 6 weeks, and that has been 24 years now.
Wow.
So.
Well, I'm glad you came over 24 years ago.
Yeah.
And you got to travel around New England. But did you land in Boston, or you just ended up here for work?
Well, landed in Boston, and that's where we kind of stayed.
Yeah.
I was in Atlanta for 3 years. Chased my girlfriend, fiance at the time, down there.
Classic story.
So did that, packed my life into the back of a Volkswagen Jetta and drove down to Atlanta.
Very cool.
And ended up getting into cybersecurity there. With a company called SecureWorks.
Okay. And what drew you to cybersecurity originally?
So nothing drew me to it. It was where I essentially landed an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I got in on the vendor side with SecureWorks, and I was on the sales side. So
that's why you're so easy to talk to. You're a salesman at heart.
So I started as a BDR.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a classic story.
Yeah.
BDR to CISO?
Yeah.
Talk me through the BDR to CISO pipeline.
The BDR to CISO pipeline was kind of crazy, right? It was, okay, start as an inside salesperson, smiling and dialing.
Yeah.
Right. You're doing
You've paid your dues, man.
You do 100 dials,
yeah,
and then
we've all been there.
you do 100 dials, and then you have lunch.
Yep.
Right, and then you do more. And that's how I cut my teeth.
Yeah.
But I always tried to differentiate myself from just the other sales folks that are out there.
Yeah.
Because I could figure out, okay, I can get people on the phone.
Yeah.
I can have a conversation. But then what am I going to talk about?
Yep.
Right. So I had to go and was kind of self-taught. So went and just started to study and hit the books. I did my SSCP. I did my CISSP just to try to differentiate myself as a salesperson, because I think that when you're a salesperson, you get kind of pigeonholed, right?
Yeah.
People put you in a bucket. The buyers put you in a bucket.
Absolutely.
Oh, your sales.
Yeah.
But I wanted to have more of a, I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
I'm a,
more elevated conversations.
Yeah, more of an elevated conversation. So got those letters after my name. And then it's fantastic that people, oh my gosh, someone's going to reply to my email. Right? Oh, wow. Now I'm not just a sales guy, right? I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
I'm an advisor. I can speak to them on their level, which was great. So did that, and then went from BDR to outside sales, right, and outside rep, and then was SecureWorks was a phenomenal place to work at the time. It was really, really good back when kind of MSS 1.0, right, where we had operation centers around the world, as follow the sun model, and all of those things. And we were. I was just justifying the price at that point. People were just buying it; they needed something.
What a time to be alive.
It was a great time. It was great time. Phenomenal technology, and I'm still in touch with a lot of the people from SecureWorks. So cool. It was a really good experience. Taught me a lot. So then I was selling to Bain Capital.
Oh, wow.
And, working with them. And I was working very, very closely with the CIO at the time and the chief security officer at the time. A fantastic organization that was there from an IT side, and they needed to upskill and kind of level up their security program. This is a decade ago. And they were actually looking for a CISO. They were looking for someone who was going to come and, run the program. And at the time at SecureWorks, we had an offering that was, hey, we would go and place before vCISOs became a real thing, because we used it as a force multiplier for our services, because we'd have someone from SecureWorks also with an arm into the customer environment, which was a force multiplier for us. So I actually placed, put 3 people in front of the team at Bain to say, hey, listen, this is the person that can come and fill this role. Yeah. And we got right to the end of what was a fairly short sales cycle, to be quite honest, because it was a rapid, quick project. And I'd built such a good relationship with the team internally, at all levels across the org. And I remember, when the CIO, turned to me and was like, hey, why don't you do this role?
No way. That did not happen.
Yeah, why don't you do this role? So I was like, okay.
What?
Yeah. So I was
Mark, are you telling me that you went from a sales rep, as with Bain Capital, as a customer to their CISO?
Well, they weren't a customer at the time.
Okay.
But yes, they became a customer, and then I essentially then was like, okay, yeah, I'm very, Bain Capital's Bain Capital, phenomenal organization.
You're like, I'm going.
Well, actually, the first of all, I was like, for me, sales is one of those roles where it's like, why would anyone do anything other than selling?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I love to hear that. I love being a salesperson.
It's because for me, it's the ultimate reap what you sow.
Yeah, it is. That's why it's always like the very controlling perfectionist overachiever that typically gets into the sales role, because they think I can do this better than other people. So I want to be in control of my outcomes. Yeah. Right. So it's it's a very specific type of person typically that gets into sales.
Yeah. I agree. But I always thought, this is the role right, why would you ever do anything other than sales? Because, the harder I work, the more successful that you'll be.
Yeah.
And you're in direct control of that.
Yeah.
And I think in other roles, you're not always in direct control of that. There's a lot more other factors that come into play that steer your success.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, well, hang on, this had to come into play or something else comes into play. But in sales, it's like, all right, the harder you work, the better you become. And I kind of like that.
So talk to me about that transition though. So how was that?
So, it does seem crazy, right?
Yeah,
it's
does.
Like, holy,
like,
how does that happen?
I didn't know that's where the story was going when I asked the question. I'm so glad we got there.
So it's like, oh wow, how does this happen? But actually, if you actually really think about what it takes to be, I think, a successful and effective leader, it's about influence.
Yes.
And communication.
Yeah. I love that word, influence, because I feel like that is what we do as sellers. Like, how good are you at influencing people's decision process, outcomes? How good are you at building trust in order for them to allow them to be influenced by you? Yeah. So translating that into a leadership role.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds cliche when you say that sales really is kind of one of the most valuable basic skills you can learn in any area of business, because no matter what area of business you're in, you need to be able to have that influence over people. And so, I totally agree.
So, and I think sometimes sales gets a bad rap, right? Because like the used car sales guy, like the whole thing.
And there's definitely ones out there that give us a bad rap, for sure.
100%. And there can be people with ulterior motives, which get it.
Yeah.
But I think if you're, you've got a moral grounding and an ethical compass, you'll get to the right place. So, they were said, hey, listen, I think this is something that you should consider, because I never considered going to do that role, right? I was like, why would I ever do that? But listen, Bain Capital, phenomenal organization, as we've already said. So I was like, okay, I'm interested. Let's have the conversation.
So wild.
So went through the ringers of the interview process.
And did you get sort of you had intel because you were putting other candidates through, or were you going in blind?
Well, so I realized why now, after I joined, why they wanted somebody with my skill set.
Yeah.
Right. Because what needed to happen was we needed to sell or influence internally, sell security internally. So I went from essentially closing deals to changing my success criteria.
Yeah.
And I wasn't now closing deals.
Yeah.
I was finding a way to yes.
Yeah. Internally. At the organization.
Internally at the organization. So I still remember one of the first projects we did was putting in multi-factor authentication 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it was, you come into this organization who's been very operationally focused, right? High performing, operationally focused. And it's like, you can't put friction in here, right? People work
ease,
24/7. Yeah. We need people to be, no friction, operational efficiency. Right. That's what we do. And I was coming in and saying,
I need you to click an extra button.
Yeah, we need to do more steps. So it was like, okay, how are we going to get there?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I've got to get a sale here. I've got to get to yes.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, going door to door, convincing people and influencing people and reshaping ideas and reshaping mindsets around this is the need. We need this because of X. And, I describe what we do as security practitioners as, having to walk into a room, punch somebody in the face, and then have them hug you afterwards, right? That's basically it. No one's coming to a CISO and saying, "Oh, we want more of what you've got." Like that's just not really the reality of today. But we have to find a way where we can thread that path and be able to weave, whether it's security processes, controls, or policies into existing cultures and workflows, and find the right balance to have a successful outcome, which is essentially the yes, right, of where we're going to land.
It's amazing. Talk to me a little bit about the MFA 10 years ago, right? Like that, this was big step. Obviously you got it through. Congrats. Where are we? Talk to me a little bit about that transition from, 10 years ago to today in security and just what's top of mind now. What are you seeing? Rise of AI. There's all these new kind of factors coming into play now. How much have you seen the environment change in your past 10 years as a CISO?
I think fundamentally at its core, it's still very, very similar, right? Which is probably a different answer than what you thought I was going to give.
No, I love that answer.
But at the end of the day, fundamentally, you have an asset that you're trying to protect.
Yeah.
And there are certain ways that asset can be compromised, right? There's only a certain number of ways that, an attacker can get to that asset and compromise it, right? So what has changed is the way that the attackers are going about it.
Right.
Right.
The end goal hasn't changed.
Right.
Just the pathways.
So if you think about, I always like to put things in a physical sense. I'm not massively technical, so I always have to think physical. And it's like, okay, I've got to protect, some crown jewels inside my house, right? How am I going to protect them? So the house hasn't changed. We've still got windows and doors. Right, but the ways with
now
which
they have
people,
laser beams and X-rays.
No, it's just it's the way that people are getting through those doors.
Exactly.
Right, so it's like, okay, now, of days gone by, it used to be, well, I'm going to pick the locks.
Yeah.
So everyone was focused on the lock, right? Okay, need a different lock. I'm going to use biometric locks. I'm going to use a combination lock, right, to keep the door closed. And then you started to think about, okay, well, hang on. Now the criminal is dressing up as the UPS guy, right? And the UPS guy who you trust is going to come into your house.
Now they're getting my kids involved.
Oh, exactly. Now they're getting these different people involved, and there's an insider threat, right? Kids are the biggest insider threat, but yes, you've got all of those different things. So fundamentally, you've still got the doors and windows as the avenues, and the garage may be, right? But now you've got other challenges where, okay, well, hang on, someone has just built a shed, right? A new environment that you didn't know about at the bottom of your garden. And you need to figure out, okay, well, I didn't even know that shed was there. How am I going to protect it if I didn't even know it was there, right? So you've got all of these other things that start to occur. You had days gone by, you only had a few people who could go and change the locks on the windows at the house, right? Because you used to have, it's only the maintenance people that could do that. Now we have this whole notion of citizen developers in our environment who are now tech forward thinking users who we've given new technology to go and do more powerful things using code and using those tools that historically only IT admins would have used, and you could control that because you know who they were and you knew what they were doing. Now we've just given
so many more variables.
Exactly. So now you've got things that you can't see, things that are emerging so quickly you don't fully understand.
Yep.
And you have to be able to control all of that, and not only control it, but secure it.
Yeah.
So
and then
that's where it's more challenging.
Sleep soundly at night, knowing that there's just this ever-evolving landscape that you're trying to stay in front of.
Listen, the key to good sleep as a CISO is hiring a good team.
Oh, I love that.
So that's the key. It's all about the people. And it's all about hiring a good team and having good relationships with internal stakeholders across the
I was just talking to Corentin, my VP of sales, about hiring because we're building out our team at FISO Trust and what he's looking for when he's building out a team. So I would love to ask you that same question. When you are hiring, like what are those special factors you're looking for in building out your team?
Yeah, I think from a cyber standpoint, there's a couple of things that are key, which I need to lean on my team to really kind of dig into. You've got to have you've got to have technical chops. That's table stakes, right? Technical chops, table stakes, we're there. But then what are the things that I call the X factor, right? What's the X factor here?
Yeah.
And you can't, a Zoom interview's tough.
It is.
I always want to try to get people out of an interview setting. So, hey, we're going to do breakfast, we're going to do lunch.
Yeah.
Because now people aren't fully concentrating on I'm in interview mode, right? Because they've got to eat and they've got to do two things at once. And if you're like me, you're not good at that. So it's like, oh my gosh, you kind of get them out of their threshold.
Yeah.
For me, I always say, a couple of things. One is everyone can run fast when they're being chased.
Ooh,
right?
I like that.
But I want people who run fast all the time.
Oh, that's so good.
Right? That's a different thing.
It is. It's a different breed.
It's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're going to put your best foot forward in this interview and you're going to be running fast.
Yep.
You're going to be sprinting. Show me how fast you can run.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're not in the interview, are you still running fast?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah. What motivates you? Yeah, it's such a good question. I love that. I love the idea of getting them out of the interview environment, and because it really is just all about understanding who they are as a person. And I think that that's so much in hiring and in selling and in being a leader. We talk about it a lot internally at FISO Trust, but building that human connection, like understanding who you are, being curious about who you are, being fascinated by the person that's sitting across from you.
Yeah.
They can feel that. And I think, in building relationships, whether it's with your team or with your prospects or with the internal organization that you're trying to influence, it just always comes back to that for me, and I just love how you put that.
No, it is. It's all people. And I think this was the real challenge with COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the kind of remote work and work from home.
Yeah.
Listen, I think Zoom is a fantastic tool, a business enabler, because you can jump on and have conversations with people all over the world and not have to travel and do all of those things, which is great. But there's also major limitations to it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a believer that you can maintain a relationship on Zoom, but I don't believe you can build one.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
I like that.
I think that there has to be, an element of face to face, and even with my team, who infosec engineers are probably not always the folks who are like, yes, I'm gung ho in coming back to the office. Right? I love it. I love people and I want to be with everybody. Not always the way. And I was having a conversation with one of my engineers this week, actually, and for the first time, he was like, I wish I was in person for that conversation, because it was a tough conversation where they were having to have a difficult conversation. Couldn't read body language, couldn't read those social cues to understand, okay, are we okay with that answer? Like, I'm gonna prod here, but is that okay?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that people are realizing that, there's certain elements where you can't get around the human to human connection.
You can't. That's why I'm so excited about the dinner that we're hosting tonight.
Yeah.
And really, part of us doing these podcasts and having these conversations is just being this conduit for this type of in-person interaction, and just being at the center of the conversation, creating a platform for people to have these conversations. We're doing an event tonight in person, co-hosted with you, so thank you so much. But I think just the more that we can do this face-to-face sort of thing in the age of AI especially, it just is becoming more and more valuable.
Yeah, listen, I think that more than ever, and going back to when I first started the role as a CISO, right? So I get into this role, and it was very new, very different, right? So what did I do? I immediately went to my people.
Yeah, like studied someone that knows what they're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was immediately went to either, all of the CISOs that I'd had built relationships with through either selling SecureWorks into them or building a relationship with them, and immediately was like, hey, I'm on your side of the fence now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on your team now.
Yeah.
Let's
tell me everything.
Right. Let's get together. So immediately started hosting lunches and getting, private equity peers and finance peers in Boston together.
Yeah.
And we would do lunches monthly and start to have these networking events. And we have them now where you get together, and all of our, private equity friends, we get together, in person at least once a year. We're on a, whether it's text or WhatsApp or Slack or email, constantly asking different questions of each other. The network effect of people is huge, because we're all trying to solve the same problem. And the ISACs have always tried to do it, but I think it's always been a little bit tightly governed and difficult to really kind of lean in and yes, there's lots of different factors around privacy and trust, but looking somebody in the eye and having a face-to-face conversation and having someone that you really trust and you can go and ask them a question and really trust the answer is massive. And, the threat actors are doing it. Right. Yeah. So to be effective, we have to do that. Yeah. We have to do that as well. Yeah. And I think everybody, has really bought onto that for us to be successful on this side of the fence.
Yeah, I have found, I've sold into different types of organizations throughout my sales career, but I have found that the CISO community is a very tight-knit, highly networked community. Like, I do feel like this role more than others that I have, sold into are more tightly intertwined. And I think that it probably has a lot to do with that. What you're coming up against, they're constantly sharing best practices and ideas and working together. So I think the more tight-knit the security community can be in sharing what's working, what's not, that can only benefit the whole, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's, and I think it also comes from, fundamentally where cybersecurity practitioners have come from, right? Which has been this, very skeptical. Who do we trust?
Yeah, zero trust.
Yeah, zero trust. Exactly. Very skeptical upbringing of everything's wrong until I can verify, right? Yes. And trust but verify. Yeah. So having those connections that you can go to where you don't have to verify, you can just trust. Yeah. Just takes a lot of the stress.
That's such a good point. And AI is introducing this entirely new level of distrust in tech in general. Everyone's questioning, is this real? Is this a human? Is this AI? Yeah. And I think with the rise of AI and everyone just not knowing what's real and what's not, that in person, those relationships are going to become more and more valuable. And just the information that can be passed from person to person is invaluable. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about how you guys, or how you're thinking about leveraging either protecting against the rise of AI and potential threats that the rise of AI is bringing into play, and how you guys or how you're thinking about leveraging AI to help you do that.
Yeah. Listen, I think that it's the old adage of you have to bring a sword to the sword fight. Yeah. Right? You've got to use you've got to come at the threat space with the right tools. Yeah. I think that what AI is doing for the attackers is really allowing them to operate at faster speeds than we've ever seen before, and higher volumes. So whether that's a faster route to detect and understand vulnerabilities and zero-day vulnerabilities and figure out ways to exploit them, or whether it's the increased volume of bots that are trying to find any type of credentialed access place where you don't have multi-factor and that they can try and brute force the password attempt to get in, or whether it's larger volumes of more sophisticated phishing emails that are getting through your defenses because the attackers are working more quickly than your email defenses. That's how I'm seeing the attackers leveraging AI most effectively today. So what do we have to do? We have to use AI on our side within those areas of our program to ensure that we can we have the right defenses. So whether that's how are we going to understand what vulnerabilities are in our environment, and how do we more quickly determine which ones we have to remediate and reprioritize our efforts, whether that's compensating controls from a technical perspective, or whether that's we have to build relationships with IT and have them focus on faster remediation. Those are things that I think CISOs are thinking about. Again, the phishing emails, and that's always, I think for years we've beaten that horse to death on it's about people, and it's about awareness and making sure people are aware. Yeah. I think we're not quite there yet on people being really compromised through deep fakes. I think it's okay. The technology is good, right? But like,
man, that's a scary thought.
Yeah, to really to really create an issue, purely from a deep fake without having various internal processes or controls that are going to try and stop or prevent that. I don't think we're there yet, but again, it's just raising awareness from a people standpoint. And again, if what CISOs are thinking about all the time from an identity standpoint, if we're going to have just a username and password as ways to protect certain entry points into our environment, I think we have to make sure that we're evolving to do MFA and beyond.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that I heard is speed, right, on both sides.
Yeah.
So bad actors using AI to just increase the number of attacks and the speed of the attacks. And then on our side, protecting an organization, leveraging AI for speed and efficiency.
Yeah.
And there's just so many big sort of slow manual processes right now. I'm doing a little bit of a plug. Okay, bear with me. But that we can automate and use AI to leverage that speed. And it's just such an obvious place to start, right?
Yeah.
So like that's what personally excited me the most when joining VISO, because I felt like this is just, why are we still doing this manually? Like, why is this process still taking so long when we have the technology to do it more efficiently? And so just that speed, right, on both sides. So
100%. And I think that's where teams are going initially to start and most effectively.
Yeah,
exactly. I think it's where they had automation in the past, or what they just had was automation. And now they're thinking, okay, if I'm doing a repeatable task, right, how can I now use AI to do that repeatable task? If I see the same thing that happens twice.
Over and over.
But I think now the ability for you to, think about agentic AI, where you're able to say, okay, well, I can now chain processes together and say, okay, I needed to do A plus B plus C.
Yep.
Okay, I had to go and do all of those things. Now I now have to just do one thing, because the agentic nature of technology can go out and do that.
Yeah.
I think the other challenge as well that people are starting to think about from an AI perspective, right? This all started with LLMs, right? And that's how it all started. I think you've got the nature of AI and the speed and operational gains from an automation perspective. I think that's one aspect.
Yep.
But then it's thinking about LLMs and data, right? And where now it's really kind of increased focus on data in many ways, right? What data is being put into LLMs and what's the risk associated with that?
I know, people are terrified.
How can we control that? But I then also think it's an element of, what are people doing with the data that comes out of the LLM, right? How are you verifying that that's actually correct?
Real.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no hallucination or, what is the prompt? How, what prompt has been used to create the output? So, there's lots of different controls that are out there today that people are thinking about, but very few that are effective. I think really the way that we can try to detect more accurately what data is going in, but then how do we understand what that data is, right? And that's a real challenge now from the CISO side.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about kind of how you got to where you are, what you're thinking about now, the state of AI, and what you're seeing currently. I'm curious kind of what your outlook for the next 10 years is, Mark. We talked about the last 10 years, how you got here. Incredible story, by the way.
Thank you.
I think you're going to inspire a lot of BDRs out there.
It's the best. It's the hardest and best role out there. Yeah.
And I'm the self-proclaimed mother of BDRs. I don't know if you know this. That's what I call myself on LinkedIn, because I have such a soft spot for BDRs. I too was a BDR. So I'm going to share this story with all of my BDR babies and be like, you can be a future CISO. Just follow Mark's footsteps. But what's in the horizon for you?
10 years. Wow, that's a long time. So, don't know if
kids will be almost out of the house.
Gosh, 10 years. Well, my youngest will be 15.
Are we going to be retired by then on a beach somewhere?
Well, maybe. Yeah. I doubt it. Listen, I think that the outlook from a cyber standpoint is, I'm not going to be a glass half empty, right? I think that the the attackers are going to continue to do their thing. They're going to continue to be more effective and be more abrasive, and their techniques and tactics will continue to evolve. But I think there is some phenomenal work that's being done in the early stage company, lots of smart entrepreneurs who are trying to really think and build companies that can kind of try and, level the playing field, so to speak, and help us do it. I think that as business leaders and CEOs become more aware and akin to this problem of cybersecurity, it's only going to help the industry and help CISOs kind of navigate the landscape internally at organizations to be more effective in their roles. So listen, the outlook is going to be that ransom payments will continue to occur and people will continue to get popped, but I'm not going to say it's all dire and the world's going to end. But it's crazy out there.
How do you stay optimistic and, almost lighthearted as a CISO when you are facing just all of this imminent threat all the time? Like, how do you not let it get to your psyche?
Well, I think that there's a number of things, right? I think that what you have to assume compromise at all times. So I think that's the real change that occurred probably within the last 5 years, where organizations are now saying, we're going to get popped, right? But how do we, one, detect it really quickly? How do we respond really, really rapidly? And how do we minimize any impact? So you're constantly thinking about glass half empty of that's going to break, that's going to break, that's going to break. Okay, if that breaks, what happens? If that breaks, what happens? If this pops, what happens? And trying to minimize what I would call the blast radius of any issue that you have. I think that also then comes from communication, right? Internally, and just really having trusted communications internally with whether it's the board or leadership or whoever it may be, just to make sure that they're aware that, listen, this is the state of the state, right? This is what's going to happen. It's not a matter of, if, it's a matter of when, but here's what we're doing to try and really reduce the likelihood that this is going to happen. And if it does happen, we can reduce the impact and the severity of it. Because I think a lot of the pressure that CISOs feel is they feel a personal, they feel that, okay, if something's going to happen here, like it's on them, 100% on them. Listen, I think everyone has a personal passion in this is my network and this is my data of the team I'm playing for, that we need to protect this, and it is a fight against the other team, right? That you want to drive and you want to win, and it's a battle every day. So there's that element of communication internally, but then again, it comes back to
your team
hiring a phenomenal team. You hire a great team and you trust your team and you give them. You empower them to go and take the actions that are required in the fights that they're having within their areas of expertise and areas of ownership, and provide them with all of the support and all of the air cover and bandwidth that they need to go and be successful.
There's so many parallels between, and I don't want to trivialize or minimize what you do because you're a CISO and I'm a sales rep, but the longevity of a highly stressful career, right? Where there's a lot of pressure on you, on your side, to protect this organization that's worth, so much. And on the sales side to hit these numbers and produce revenue for companies, right? And so to be able to be in a career that's so high pressure and so high stakes for a decade or longer, there is this element of having to be able to control your mind and how you process all of that pressure. And so I think diluting it, and spreading it out to the team and not taking the full 100% brunt or fall or responsibility, I think that's one of the only or best ways really to kind of release that pressure valve a bit is to surround yourself with really great people.
Yep.
And that is what I feel honestly at VISO. Like it's such a team sport what we're doing. Like I am not on an island alone expected to make miracles happen. We are all in this together. We're all figuring this out together. And so it really helps to just have that support system.
Well, I also think that it comes down to elements of like outside of work, right? No one's got a 9 to 5 anymore, right? You're 24/7, whether you're working in different time zones or different incidents that are occurring or different issues that will be happening. So you need to be able to, think about your lifestyle, right? And think about, okay, what do I do from a personal standpoint to be able to get the breaks I need, whether it's, physically or whether it's mentally, and what do you bring to the table? But at the end of the day, if if you don't want to have a stressful job and a stressful life, I think there's some great benefits of being in a stressful job and a stressful life, right? There's a certain pace, but I think people really have to start to take care of themselves. And I think people have started to think about this a lot more, especially within the CISO community, is making sure that, hey, we're there for each other from a support standpoint, but people are also thinking about health and mental health and
sleeping enough, working out every day.
Exactly. Doing all those things, making sure that you get time with your family, making sure that you are taking breaks and checking in on each other. Hey, everything good? And having that tight knit, coming back to what we were saying earlier about a tight knit group of CISOs that you trust and you can say, hey, spend some time together and decompress together. I think that's also important.
I love that. It's just bringing the humanity back into what we do for work, right? It's like we are not robots. We will break if we push ourselves past a certain limit. And so finding that balance, remembering that we are all just humans trying to do really good work together.
That's right. That's right. But it's, I get my breaks. There's more stress for me in coaching my kids' soccer.
No, I literally say that like my work is less stressful than parenting my young children.
Yeah. 100%.
So being a parent puts everything in perspective, right?
Yeah.
So Mark, I'm curious, when you went from seller to CISO, how did that change your perspective of what you wish you knew previously as a seller to be more effective in communicating and selling to CISOs?
Yeah, I get this question a lot from salespeople, right? Saying, what do we do? How do we get on a CISO's calendar, right? How do I get onto that? For me, I think it comes down to a couple of things. Again, we feel like we're saying the same things over and over, but it's the trust and the people aspect and building the relationship.
It does really always come back to that, doesn't it?
It does. It comes back down to it. And, I think there are a handful of salespeople who that you'll return their text.
Yeah.
Like they'll shoot you a text and I'll fire back, right? And what have those CISOs done to get there?
Yeah.
Right? So one, we've built a relationship and there's trust, right? Two, they understand that they've made me smarter in some way, right? How are they helping me? How are they helping me not just here's a widget I'm trying to sell you. I'm trying to lower my quota, right? I'm trying to reduce quota. It's how am I providing you with actual value and building that program?
Yeah, like real value, not just value around your product, but maybe a perspective that you hadn't thought of before or, just some piece of, an angle that you haven't thought of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Be that trusted person, right? Or, and there's opportunities, right? To build that trust, right? If something goes wrong, right? There's a fire drill where the CISO needs help.
That's such a good point.
If you're able to kind of be that port in a storm, you'll forever be that port in the storm, right? You can there's opportunities for you to build that trust. I always think that there's an element of some salespeople who are coin operated in every aspect.
Yeah.
that they have. So it's, okay, I'm going to have a conversation with you. So
I get this in exchange.
I get that in exchange, rather than, no, I'm just going to help.
Yep.
Hey,
build
I saw
goodwill.
this. Yeah, I saw this about your company. It may be helpful.
Yeah.
Maybe or maybe not, right?
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm actually not going to sell you this because it's not the right thing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's actually caring about the person you're talking to.
Actually caring about, hey, because if I sell you this,
and it's not good,
and it's not going to work, that's on me.
That's my name,
right?
That's my trust. Yes,
and it's really, really difficult to build that trust and credibility, and it's so easy to lose it.
Yeah, it is
so easy to lose it.
Yeah, and I could talk about sales and sales reps all day long because obviously it's the world that I live in, but I was just talking about this with my VP, saying that piece of it seems to be less like we're not teaching the younger generation, the up and coming generation of sellers, how valuable that piece of the equation is. There's so much emphasis on the methodologies and the process of it all, right? But like that piece of it is the art. That's the artistry of selling.
And I think that Zoom changed sales a little bit too. I know that when I was selling, I had my own process, right? And the goal was face-to-face meeting.
Yeah.
You want to get to the office. You want to go for lunch. You want to, go and
that was like the
and
golden
have a drink,
ticket.
grab a coffee, right? You want it to be in person.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so much harder.
It is.
Right? If you're just only going to do
you can only get so far.
But I also think, and I'm going to contradict myself slightly here, maybe you've got to also understand who you're selling to, right? There may be some buyers who are like, I don't need any of that. And they don't want the relationship aspect of it. But I think they're also missing something a little bit, if I'm quite honest. For me, I'm more of a human person to connect with. And I'll go back to saying something that I think my old sales boss said to me is, people buy from people they trust and like.
Yeah. If I see an opening for like a relationship, I'm walking through that door, you know? At least I'm going to try to.
Right.
Because sometimes you're going to get stonewalled for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm always going to try, and I'm going to push that limit in the beginning of the conversation and see how much rapport you're open to building before we get down to brass taxes. Because to me, that is where the magic is made.
And the other element here as well that I will say is be genuine.
Yeah, of course.
And authentic, which seems, because I think some people will say they'll look at someone who's a salesperson and they'll be like, I want to be like them. And it's so easy to tell if someone isn't genuine and authentic.
You have to find your voice.
Yeah, everyone's got a different way. Everyone's got a different personality. We don't all have to be the same.
Yeah.
And you're gonna gel and mesh with different people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I love it. It really is like the heart and soul of sales is human connection, and that's why I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.